Are you keeping score? That's the question. Welcome to Huddle for Success, where we bring real talk, real goals, real results. My name's Duane Gibbs. Alongside my partner is Mark Bruce, the Hall of Famer. We come to you every Monday. We have conversations designed to help you grow not only in business, leadership, and also in life. Today's question is simple. Are you keeping score? Before we dig into that, let me bring in my partner, the Hall of Famer. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, Duane. What a great question. I love this topic.
Yeah, our conversation this morning, I was telling you this is my favorite time of the year. You
Yes.
you have you have if you're a sports fan, you have basketball that's just winding down. You're getting ready to go into the wild card for MLB. You're getting ready to get some spring training football, and my favorite is coming up in August. I believe it's the 19th, Wednesday the 19th, and that is the Little League World Series. I
So
love
we
it.
so we won't have a huddle up on Wednesday the 18th because you're
Yeah,
gonna
we
you're
will.
gonna
We're
be
going to do it quick though. We're going to do it real quick. So,
all right.
but I was thinking this morning of designing these next couple weeks around keeping score and what matters, and talk about team because, as we created Huddle for Success because we believe in team. We believe in surrounding ourselves around people that can continuously to push you up and learn from, whether it's in life or in business. And so I think that these are some really good topics we're going to be touching on for the next couple weeks. And listen, everybody loves sports. Everybody loves business. Everybody loves personal growth. And so that's what we're going to be talking about for the next couple weeks. So in sports, you always know what the score is. You know if you're winning, you know if you're losing, you know if the game is tied. But in business and in life, a lot of people spend months, even years, without ever checking the scoreboard. So my question to you is, you have played competitive basketball at a high level in college. You've had several successful businesses. And so let me ask you this. Why is the scoreboard so important in sports?
Well, if you don't keep score, why play? I mean, that's just practice. And shoot, even in practice, at the Matho, we kept score. I mean, we worked on time and score more than we did most other things. The last 30 minutes of every 2 hour practice were spent on the last 2 minutes of a game based on time and score. Coach would give the first team the ball and down 3 points and playing the second team. And it would be whoever lost ran. So, score is really important in sports because otherwise you don't know who won. And then I mean, what's the point of watching?
Hmm.
Great teams don't fear the scoreboard. They use it because you've got to know where you stand at all times, just like in business. So, there's a scoreboard. It's not discouraging. It's motivation and it helps you make better decisions, right?
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
so why do you think so many people avoid keeping score in business and in life?
I think it's the numbers forced on that it forces honesty. If your sales numbers aren't where they were last month or last year, I mean, again, making the comment of so many people, I think not enough companies take an inventory and on what the progression is with their company. I think that everybody goes through the motions, everybody's trying to, you know, produce good numbers, but they're not really taking they're not really looking at the scoreboard as they should, or the numbers. They're not drilling into it. We often confuse activity with progress. Being busy isn't the same as moving forward, as you know.
Yep,
If you don't measure it, you how can you improve? In
exactly.
in our 5 A's to clarity, the first couple segments that we talk about is assessment and awareness. So we assess the situation so we can be more aware of how we can be more productive and getting into then alignment. And then we get into action. And then we get into the process of accountability, and whether that's ourselves as business owners or business owners to your staff. No different than any type of sport. Morgan Wooten always told you, always wanted you guys to run all the time. And, why it was so important to think that, the last couple minutes of the game, you should be playing the last couple minutes of the game at the beginning of the game, because everybody drills down at the end. You got to carry that same momentum all the way through the game. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, when your team was behind, what was the coach looking at besides the scoreboard when he called timeout, you guys were in a huddle?
Well, it depends on the coach.
Mm,
Um, Great coaches like my high school coach, Morgan Wooten, I mean, he was always looking at the score and the time and effort and execution and turnovers and such. And I'll never forget, we were playing the number one team in Pennsylvania during my junior year. It was the first time I'd actually, it was my first year at the Matha, and we'd been behind a little bit by like 5 to 10 points all game, and we cut it to three with like a minute and a half to go. And I remember he called timeout and he says, "All right, guys, we've got them right where we want them." And I thought to myself, "Huh? What?" But he laid out the plan just like we did in practice. And he's like, "This is what we're going to do. We're going to score. We're going to call timeout. If we do that, we're going to steal the ball on the inbounds pass. If we don't steal the ball, we're going to foul." He had the whole thing lined up, and we had practiced it in practice. So everybody knew what was coming. You know, sometimes the scoreboard, it can really be just a symptom of what's going on. And it does come down to mindset, because we knew that we could come back and we could win. You know, I've had other coaches where we called timeout and we were up by three, and all he was afraid of is that we were going to foul and we were going to lose. And guess what we did?
so
So,
let me ask you a question. Relate that to business.
hey, in business, just because the financial statement doesn't look perfect all the time,
Mm.
as long as you stick with the fundamentals and you do what your business is designed to do and you do things in a certain way, the balance sheet will more than likely work out. The balance sheet is the scoreboard,
Mm.
and that's how you decide whether you're winning or whether you're losing. And you keep a positive attitude, and you think about how you can improve the balance sheet, and that will be far more productive than if you worry about how you can't how you're not performing well.
So you're saying sometimes sales really aren't the problem.
Sometimes sales aren't the problem. That is true. Sometimes it's, well, I mean, sales do cure a lot of things. I mean,
Sure,
you can cure a lot of things with sales,
sure.
but sometimes you can sell in the wrong way that can cause more problems down the road. You sell in the right way. You provide a service as a I always like to think of selling more as providing a service than
Mm.
selling. So as
Yes.
long as you provide good service and value to your clients, that's doing things in a certain way, and that will give you good results.
Maybe like follow up and leadership and communication and consistency and accountability.
Absolutely. There are all the certain things that you've got to do in a certain way in order to succeed. So,
Gotcha.
um, so if somebody's listening to today, Duane, and they want to create their own personal scoreboard, what do you think they should measure?
I think they need to measure their conversation that they're having with their salespeople. So if you're in a business that you don't have salespeople, maybe you're a business owner and you have a small business and you are the sales guy. So many small companies, what I have seen over the years, don't look at what we call film. They don't look at, hey, why I have a lawn business. and I'm going out and I'm beating feet and I'm trying to gain accounts and I keep hearing no, 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 no. Okay, well, law of averages says, you continue to hear no, you're that much closer to a yes. However, a professional salesperson looks at it as, okay, I get that, but how can I look at so many people look at their wins, but professionals, I think, really look at their losses, why people are saying no. And then they can fix that because then that increases the law of averages and their sales going up. So look at sales conversations, whether it's with yourself or with a team. Look, try and drill down on what that problem is. Follow-ups, if you're not doing follow-up in your business, it will kill you. It will kill your business. Whether you have a multi-million dollar corporation, whether you are, again, a smaller company, a little mom and pop company, long guy, plumber, whatever that is, construction, whatever it is, you have to continue to do your follow-ups. Um, Continually look at your revenue and referral base. What's that look like? Uh, Personally, if you're trying to measure that, look at the time that you spend with your family. Look at, creating personal growth. Look at um, just what does that quality time look like with your family? I mean, you and I hear so many times that, well, we've grown apart or things aren't happening. Well, why? There's a reason why. And sometimes you can't change that, but there are a lot of times that you can. You have to look at what's happening and you have to measure whether it's in life or in business or in sports, that if you're not measuring the outcome and the results, you'll never get better. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Yeah. You kind of have to measure what matters. You know, what you pay attention to is what happens,
That's right.
right?
So, what's the biggest mistake you think athletes make when they focus only on the scoreboard?
Okay. So I'm sure everybody's seen the game when in basketball, one team gets hot and they can't miss a shot. I mean, this year's NBA Finals, while I don't watch a lot of NBA, I did actually watch a couple of these games and one team goes up by 20 or 30 points
Yeah,
because they can't miss a shot.
yeah,
And yet they lose the game because they stopped doing the fundamentals. And the other team kept running their plays, and they knew that eventually they'd get hot and the other team wouldn't. And you can't just pay attention to the scoreboard. You can become lackadaisical if you're up too much. You can become panicked if you're not where you want to be on the scoreboard. So um, business owners kind of have to do the same thing. When revenue drops, try not to chase those quick fixes. Instead, just improve the fundamentals of your business.
I love
Right?
that. That's so good. Yeah, no
Yeah.
question.
So, if our listeners remember just one thing from today's conversation,
Mm.
what would you think that should be?
The scoreboard is not there to judge you. The scoreboard is not there to judge you. It's there to guide you. Your balance sheet, whether you're playing professional sports, whether in your relationship. So, you know, it's never it's never the final score. It's there just to guide you to be able to identify, to adapt, and to adjust. And so, when there's a score, you know what to improve. I think it's important. And when you improve what really matters the most, the score eventually takes care of itself. Things change, outcome changes. If you start having, separation situation with family, because we hear all the time, oh, my husband or my wife always works so much, and we really want to have family time. That matters. It matters all the way around, whether for your relationship and for your business and for your job. That matters so much. So stay balanced, stay stay in the moment to where you can improve what really matters. And again, just like what you and I are saying, everything eventually pays off. So
Yep.
today I like the direction that we're going with the relatable of sports. I think a lot of people resonate with that. Also, I want to lastly, talk about our uh, 5 A's to clarity that we just did. I think that's real important. If you're looking to get an episode of that, they can still log on to Huddle for Success and get that. Correct, Mark?
Find it on our YouTube channel, Huddle for Success TV on YouTube,
Yes.
and I
Yes.
believe they're there.
Perfect. Perfect. So, with that being said, we appreciate you, the listener. Also, we just did a clarity breakthrough. Love to get people involved with that. You want to talk about that for a moment?
Sure. Yeah, we have scholarships available for our 5-day clarity breakthrough. You'll spend 5 days, 30 minutes a day with either Duane or myself, and we will work on one part of your life or your business that you want to gain some clarity in and help you move forward. The response we're getting from the people going through this has been phenomenal.
It has.
And I will tell you, a lot of them weren't sure that they'd get anything out of it. They said they didn't have enough time and they just weren't sure that it would be worthwhile. And I would say we have not had a single review that did not say it was well worth the time invested.
No question. No question. So we appreciate you, the listener, tuning in each and every Monday as we do a full podcast. Also, join us each and every Wednesday and Friday as we have a huddle up. That's just a quick mindful thought to help you change some thinking patterns and just something to put into your bag of arsenal tricks and just different conversations. So, again, we appreciate you, the listener. And with that being said, stay huddled up, and we'll see you on the next episode of Huddle for Success.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Huddle for Success. If you found it helpful and want to support others on their journey, share this podcast, leave us a rating, and drop your thoughts in the comments. We'll see you next week on Huddle for Success. Stay huddled up.